Have you ever wondered why some people seem to see opportunities everywhere, while other people can look at the exact same situation and only see problems? It might have less to do with how much money they have and a lot more to do with how they've trained themselves to think. Because here's something I've learned: you don't just need to work harder to make more money, you need to start thinking differently about money. And I'm not talking about sitting on your couch, closing your eyes, and wishing money would magically appear in your bank account. That's not how this works. What I'm talking about is training your mind to become more aware of opportunities, more intentional about your goals, and more focused on the actions that can actually produce the income you want. Because if you don't know where you're going, how are you supposed to know what you should be doing every day to get there? So let me give you a simple framework. There are 5 things I want you to start doing if you want to train your brain to think more like someone who creates wealth. First, get extremely clear about the amount of money you actually want to make. Not, I want to be rich. That's too vague. Not, I just want more money. That's vague too. Give your brain a target. Maybe you want to make $5,000 a month. Maybe it's $10,000. Maybe it's $20,000. Whatever the number is, write it down, because there's a huge difference between saying, I want to make more money, and saying, I want to build a business that produces $10,000 a month. Now you have something you can actually work toward. And here's where most people stop. They write the goal down, put it in a notebook, and forget about it. Don't do that. Your goal needs to become part of your daily thinking. Second, turn the goal into a question. Instead of constantly asking yourself, why am I not making enough money? Start asking, what would I need to do to make $10,000 a month? That's a completely different question. One question focuses your brain on the problem. The other forces your brain to start looking for solutions. And that's important because the quality of the questions you ask yourself often determines the quality of the answers you find. If you keep asking, why can't I succeed? Your brain will find reasons: the economy, your background, your lack of connections, your lack of money, your competition. But ask, what can I do with what I have right now? And suddenly, you start looking for possibilities. Maybe there's a service you can sell. Maybe there's a problem you can solve. Maybe there's a skill you can develop. Maybe there's a market you haven't noticed. Maybe there's a customer you haven't approached. That's the shift. You're training yourself to look for opportunities instead of excuses. Third, visualize the result, but don't stop there. This is where I think people get visualization completely wrong. They imagine the fancy car, the big house, the expensive vacation, the huge bank account, and then they think, okay, I visualized it, where's my money? That's not the point. The real value of visualization is using it to make your goal feel concrete and then connecting that vision to action. Imagine what your life could look like if you actually reached your financial goal. What would change? Would you have more freedom? Would you be able to help your family? Would you be able to invest in your business? Would you be able to create jobs? Would you be able to support causes that matter to you? Don't just visualize the money. Visualize what the money allows you to do. Because money itself isn't the destination. It's a tool. And once you understand that, your goal becomes much more meaningful. You're not just chasing a number. You're building something that gives that number a purpose. Fourth, train your brain to notice opportunities. This is where things get really interesting. Think about buying a new car. Suddenly, you start seeing that same car everywhere. Did everybody suddenly buy that car? No. You simply became more aware of something that was already around you, and the same thing can happen with business. Once you become obsessed with solving problems, you start seeing problems everywhere. And problems are opportunities. You walk into a restaurant and notice that customers are waiting too long. That's a problem. You see a business struggling to get customers from social media. That's a problem. You notice a company spending hours doing something manually that could be automated. That's a problem, and every problem represents a potential opportunity if you can figure out how to solve it. That's one of the biggest mindset shifts you can make. Stop walking through life asking, where can I make money? Start asking, what problems can I solve? Because the bigger and more valuable the problem you can solve, the more valuable your solution can become. Fifth, take action every single day. This is the part nobody wants to hear, because thinking about success feels good. Watching motivational videos feels good. Creating vision boards feels good. Writing goals feels good. But none of those things will build your business for you. Eventually, you have to make the call, send the message, create the offer, talk to the customer, publish the content, learn the skill, ask for the sale, build the product. You have to do something every single day. And here's something I want you to remember. Your goal doesn't need to become reality tomorrow. You just need to move closer to it today. If your goal is $10,000 a month, ask yourself, what can I do today that moves me one step closer to $10,000? Maybe it's contacting 10 potential customers. Maybe it's improving your sales skills. Maybe it's creating an offer. Maybe it's learning how to market. Maybe it's building a product. Maybe it's having one conversation with somebody who can open a door for you. One action, then another, then another. That's how momentum is created. And over time, something interesting happens. You start becoming the person who naturally looks for opportunities. You start becoming more comfortable talking about money. You become better at selling. You become better at solving problems. You become better at making decisions. You become better at recognizing what works and what doesn't. And that's the real goal. You're not trying to trick your brain into making you wealthy. You're training yourself to become someone who can create more value. Because when you create more value, you create more opportunities to earn. Think about it this way. If you want to make more money, don't just ask, how can I get more money? Ask, how can I become more valuable? Can you solve a bigger problem? Can you serve more people? Can you become better at sales? Can you become better at marketing? Can you build a stronger business? Can you develop a skill that people are willing to pay for? Those are much more powerful questions, because money is usually a consequence of value. And I want you to try something tonight. Take a piece of paper and write down the exact monthly income you want. Don't write, I want to be wealthy. Write the number, then write down 3 things. What would earning that amount allow me to do? What problem could I solve to create that level of income? And what can I do tomorrow to move one step closer? Not next month, not next year, tomorrow. Because here's the mistake most people make. They spend years thinking about the life they want instead of spending their days building it. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need a direction. You need a target. You need the willingness to learn. And most importantly, you need action. Train your mind to see opportunities, train yourself to solve problems, train yourself to create value, and then take action consistently. Because the goal isn't simply to think like a wealthy person. The goal is to become the kind of person who can create wealth. So what number are you working toward? And more importantly, what are you going to do today to get closer to it?